Okay, I just filmed a video where I reduced some raw material. This was some pretty chalky, not very nice raw material. I'm not too excited about trying to reduce these nodules because these are tough. Most of them look like they're going to be pretty bad, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go through, on this particular video, I'm going to go through my strategies on reducing these nodules. And I say strategies because there's various stages. Now, I don't know if these stages existed in the past, but I have stages in my napping. So the first stage has a strategy, second stage has a strategy, and third stage, and so on. The first stage is this stage here, where I look at the raw nodule. I should probably use a different word. Look at the unworked nodule. This is found in nature just like this, broken up. It was tested by my friend, I think Gary. My friend Gary gave me this piece. You know, you test it a little bit and see if it flakes. It's good, and you throw it in a bucket. You pick these up from rivers in many cases, or from either in the river in a gravel bar or something, or up on the bank, or sometimes even dry streams have these. Sometimes you can find landscape rock that is nappable. Anyway, this is in a natural state. Right here you can see the patina on the faces, and you can tell this is going to be a nappable piece of stone just by looking at it. If you live in an area with nappable stone, most areas do not have nappable stone. That's why Native Americans sometimes would travel hundreds, maybe thousands of miles to procure stone for their tools. Okay? This is the first stage. My strategy on the first stage, it depends on what I need. Am I making small arrowheads or big arrowheads? Or a knife or a tool? If I'm making a tool out of this, like a Kerrville knife, which is a hand axe used in North America, in Texas, it's a hand axe. You preserve one side of the original nodule that's smooth, and you make a blade out of the rest of it. Kerrville knife. You can look it up. If I'm making little arrowheads, I'm going to spall short flakes off of this. Several short flakes like this. I'm not going for a big blade. If I'm going for a big blade and small arrowheads, yeah, I'll try to get a big blade. Like a lot of times in the archaeological record, there is a crude blade for a knife or a saw and a bunch of little arrowheads in the kit for the flint knapper when he's working on his stuff. The arrowheads for true arrows are little tiny things in the archaeological record. If I wanted to make an atlatl dart point out of this stuff, I would look probably to split this in half somehow, or take off one or two major flakes so that I can have something that looks like this 2 or 3 times, because that's an atlatl dart point looking spall. If I want to make a blade out of this, and that's all I want to do, and maybe the flakes that come off, I can utilize them. They're called utilized flakes in the archaeological record. I'll just go for preserving as much width and length on this piece as possible to get a blade out of it. So there's various strategies depending on what you need and depending on how you nap. I went over what I need. That's the first consideration. Big arrowheads, little arrowheads, knife blades, tools, blah, blah, blah. Now, what is the strategy? Hey, I forgot where I was going with that. Let's see. To make a blade out of this, first you got to know what you need. Next, you got to know what you need to remove, right? That's the strategy on attacking this particular piece, what you need to remove to get what you need. That's what most new guys want to know. Where do you hit and why? And how hard? With what? Now, it's already been 5 minutes and I haven't done any napping. Some of you guys are going to get really ticked off by that, and you've already clicked off the video after like, 2 minutes. You're going to miss this part, because now I'm going to show you exactly why I hit certain areas, with what. This is an aluminum billet, how hard, etc. Okay. I'm going to make a blade out of this. One piece. After maximizing this nodule for my final biface. So I'm going to take off whatever isn't the biface. Short explanation. Remove what is not what you intend to have. Like a sculptor. Sculptor removes whatever is not the sculpture. Okay. I had to get all that out of the way first, because if I don't, it won't make much sense in the overall sense of why I'm doing it a certain way as opposed to some other way. I've decided I'm going to preserve this piece and use as much of it as possible as far as length and width. Okay? It might not be successful. Probably won't be, because this is nasty stuff. I'm going to attack the worst parts first. The worst parts. Cortex, not good. Cracked areas, areas that look like they have defects, get rid of those. Even if you have to shorten it, get rid of the defect areas that you can see. Hit opportunistically. Don't create platforms at this stage, because you're going to waste material. Look for an opportunistic platform and hit one. Now, do I hit in the most advantageous spot possible every time I hit? No. Could I? Yeah, I could make an assessment. Let's do this. I'm going to mark it with a marker right here. I can take this off. I'll mark that priority 2. Yeah, it's a good hit. Let's see, priority 1 might be here to knock off this bad area. So I put a little 1 there. Let's see, I can hit here and skin off some of that cortex. Maybe that's a 3 priority. And go around each and every platform, each and every area. I can hit there, take off this. That's probably number 4. And assess the importance of every strike. And then go, okay, where's number 1? Okay, number 1. Go back to number 1 and hit it. Does anyone nap that way? I don't think so. Does anyone nap that way in their brain? Yeah, there's some genius nappers out there that they do that. That's number 1, that's number 4, and that's number... Let's see, where's number 3? It's number 3 and number 2. Okay? That kind of thing. They know exactly. In their mind, they can do like a robot. But I don't nap that way. I don't think many people nap that way. If you're a new guy and you want to nap that way, I would recommend switching your strategy altogether. Okay? Just look for a good spot that you know that you can remove a flake. Well, I don't know. You're going to say, I don't know if I can remove a flake. That's the problem. I don't know. Okay, fine. Let's see. I'm gonna try to not know. Like, I look at this, I have no idea where to hit. Well, if I hit right there, I can knock some off right there, right? Yeah, okay, fine. That doesn't help you. Yes, it does. You can get to know where to hit to remove flakes. You start tapping on this thing. Okay, flakes are coming off. Yeah, it's kind of okay material. Let's try some other easy spot. Yeah, it's coming off. I know I can get flakes off of here. Okay, well, just start doing that. Start hitting where you know you can get flakes off. Say, okay, I got some flakes off of there. It's easy spots. These are pretty easy. All right, so I can get kind of the feel of the material. Yeah, okay, it's flaking good. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right, now let's see. Where can I get a good hit? And since I get the feel for it, let's see. I can hit that pretty good there. I can hit that pretty good there. I've been napping for about 6 days. All right. I'm using the same bobber that Mr. Jack Crafty's using. Let's see if we can make a perfect point. Okay. Hold it like this when you want more momentum on larger flakes. Hold it like this. Shorter flakes like this. Okay. The angle, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to get into technicalities with you on that. Watch my videos that show you with words angles and platforms. Okay? That'll be the best for the technical aspects. There's 2 ways to strike with a bopper. I'm not going to get too much into this, the ways to strike with it, but this is important. When you're originally starting to spall, people don't know how to hold their flakers. And they don't know there's 2 different major methods to start flaking. There's a direct method where you smash, I call it gouging. You gouge into it, just a direct hit that way, or a direct hit this way. It's just, and it's gouging like using a wood gouge. When you attack the piece of wood with just a gouge and then gouge it out. There's also a swiping technique where you hit on the slide onto the platform, and you're hitting more on the edge. You can round it off. You can have a rounded platform, more rounded like this, and slide on that too. It's just going to be harder. You try to find an edge that is not so rounded. That's kind of good right there. And then you hit on the slide. You hit down here, and by the time the flake releases, it'll be somewhere in the middle, and then you'll just follow through. You're swiping. I call it a swipe. So you can swipe hit, or you can gouge hit. Gouging is more direct. Why do you use it? For deep bulb flakes. Swiping is usually shallow bulb and shallow flake. Gouging, deep bulb, deep flake. Okay, that's a simple way to describe it. There are other subtleties involved. You don't need to worry about those. That comes in time. I want a deep bulb, deep flake. Why? Because there's a bunch of crud in here. If I were just to skin off a little bit, I'd skin off the cortex with a swiping flake. But then I wasted my platform. You know, I cut it back a little bit. Maybe I crushed it. Maybe I made it ugly. The next time I try to hit it, it's going to be more difficult. But if I got a good platform now, I'm going to go for the gusto and be aggressive and try to take off a big flake. Okay, let's see. So I hit it up kind of high. So I wanted a deep bulb, deep flake. That's a good bulb. It's not that deep. Fortunately, it wasn't that deep. It can get really scooped out, which is okay because you just tap that and make it more convex. Maybe you can strike again in that area. But probably not when you do this deep flake removal. All right, so that's what I wanted to do. That was my strategy on that one. I want to try to do the same thing maybe on this side. Take this off, take that junk off. So I would have to, in this case, I can hit it opportunistically like I did it before without any preparation, or I can make that platform a little bit better, bigger. So it's a no-brainer when I hit it. But since I am usually of the mindset that I'm going to do this quickly, I don't do a lot of preparation. So why did I not do preparation? It's just my style. Why am I hitting there? Because I want to take a large flake. Why am I using it in this way, a gouging instead of a swiping? Because I want a deep bulb flake. All right, so here we go. I missed it on the side, but I'm still doing a gouging technique. It's still very powerful as far as follow through and momentum. I still have an area where I can hit. I'm taking off some of these weak areas because it gives me a better idea on the shape of the platform. I don't want to have to be concerned about, oh, that's weak, so get it out of your mind, go a little higher than that. Just take it off so you can just say, okay, I need to go higher. I don't want to take off a little bit. I want to take off a big chunk. I want to like follow that line but deep inside the stone because I want to get rid of this mass. So I'm going to go, you know, I have to hit kind of higher up, not too high and not like a swipe. Don't swipe it because that'll be a thin, shallow flake. Gouge it by hitting like this. And it's probably that angle right there. Hit it like this. The bulb of percussion will start it'll initiate with a conchoidal fracture for a little fraction of an inch. The rest will be the bulb. The bulb can either be pronounced or flattened. A lot of times that's luck. And then the rest of the flake will travel depending on the consistency of the material, the force of the strike, the follow through of the strike, and the speed in which you are striking and maintaining contact with the platform. All those things will determine the shape of the flake. Okay, here we go. Try to keep it in frame here, but I'm bumping up against the car on that side, so I'm not able to freely do this as like I should be. But anyway, here we go. Yeah, I'm getting close to the camera. Hold on. I want to be able to show you. All right, here we go. Oops. Yeah. I'm paying attention to my surroundings, so it takes a little bit to get. All right, I want to make this good. All right, here we go. I hit it several times. You can see the previous hits right there, but it didn't go, so I increased the force every time. Can't hit it too often. Why? Because you create incipient cracks, and you can look up the word incipient. Just cracks that develop just by hitting the stone. It sends in cracks. Every hit will send in some kind of crack. Mostly little short ones, but sometimes you'll get cracks that are so big. They don't go very far, but they're so big the next strike just crushes everything. Try to limit the number of strikes per attempt, because the strategy is you don't want to crush it. It's a strategy, right? You teach your subconscious this strategy. Eventually your subconscious will get to the point where it'll say, make this strike count, make this strike count. And you don't have to think about it. You just know that you make the strike count. You swing ahead of time. You get a feel for it. You kind of brace it in your hand. You get ready. Okay? That's all subconscious stuff eventually. In the beginning, with the new guys, you have to do that consciously. Get ready for that strike. Visualize where it's going to go. Okay? Here we go. A little bit to the side there. It's a bunch of junk, so it didn't really flake that well. There's a bunch of junk in here, it looks like. Junk, what I mean is a bunch of inconsistent material and maybe some previous cracking. Some flaws in the material itself. Sometimes you'll get that. I don't know if that's a flaw in the material right there. But this is the cortex, technically natural surface. Natural surfaces sometimes will have cracks, and you'll get heat. No, not heat. Cold or freeze cracks. Water will get in there, start to separate the stone in certain areas or whatever. So watch out for that. You don't watch out for it. You just say, oh, okay, that's probably why it's breaking up and looking all stupid, because it's got some kind of weathering effect from the original surface going into the stone. So where do I hit? The next strategy would be to look to see if this is okay to preserve. If it's okay, just remove that stuff. Or maybe this would be okay to preserve. Just evaluate it, look and see, what do I want to keep or not. You want to keep clear stuff and get rid of stuff that's not clear. Like this stuff, that doesn't look like it's clear. That looks like concrete. So I would like to get rid of that. So let's see. Hitting there with a big bulb. I'm doing the what do they call it? Gouging, because I want to take off a big piece. I don't want a thin flake. Swiping removes mostly thin flakes. If you got a big enough bopper, Swiping will remove a large flake. Or if you got a big hammer made of copper or steel, swiping will also remove a big flake. But you need to increase your tool size. I like to use this. It's very versatile. I can make big flakes or small flakes with this particular piece. Big flakes if I hold it like this, smaller flakes like this, and even smaller like this. Okay. So the bulb of percussion is not very pronounced on this particular type of material, which indicates it's not that easy to nap. If it was obsidian and I made any type of error, it would produce a big old scooping bulb easily because it's very easy to nap, especially when gouging. It produces a big bulb in many cases. But in this case, even though I probably hit it not in the most advantageous way, it still didn't gouge out too much of the material. Okay, so it's starting to get flatter. I got rid of the concrete there. I can save that piece for something else later. How else can I hit this to preserve maximum width and length while getting rid of nasty material and setting myself up maybe for another strike? I don't like any of these options that I see on this particular piece at this stage, except maybe this one here into this area. Hit that right there to this area. Oh, that was one of my original choices. I think that's one of the only ones still available as an original choice. That might have been, no, I don't think that was one of them. I don't think this way when I nap. I don't look at it this way when I nap. So this is just for you new guys to show you what you can be doing, but eventually you're going to train your subconscious to do that. I mean, you can train your subconscious enough so that it'll take over this function for the most part. Maybe not the whole thing. You still need your conscious mind to direct your subconscious. But when you're making the hits, that's definitely something you don't want to think about. You want the subconscious to make the hit for you because it knows the subtleties after many, many, many attempts at flaking. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I wanted to go a little bit deeper than that, but that's all right. So that was a successful hit. Anything that removes a flake without breaking the piece is successful. Now let's see, it wasn't centered there. Now another place to hit would be right here in this way, but that's not an ideal. That's almost 90 degrees. You want something that's more like this here, this little angle here. See that I just hit there? It's not good to be completely 90. A little bit less than 90 is all right. If there's nothing available, you're gonna have to start looking for have to start looking for ways to create a platform and not hit opportunistically. Okay. So I'm just gonna get rid of this. This is a good angle here. The reason why I'm hitting into this is I want to get rid of that. Okay. Still looking around for another spot to hit, but I want to get rid of this. So this gives me a little time to relax while I'm making it look a little better. Maybe I can hit now this way. I just hit a little experimental flake here. Maybe I can hit this way. I don't want to hit here. Maybe I can improve this edge. I'm just doing a little bit of experimentation here. It doesn't look that great. I need to take off more of that edge. But do I want to? Do I want to preserve that for the length or the width? I kind of do want to preserve it. I don't want to do too much edge trimming. I want to keep as much of it as possible so that I have options. I could just go all the way around and do a level technique also and just do the whole thing and end up with a little saucer. But I don't want to do it that way on this particular piece. It's just totally up to me. It's a strategy. I could just nap around the edges, do the zigzag at this stage, and end up with a little saucer. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a scraper. But I want to try to preserve it as much as possible, length and width. Okay. So I had to experiment. I got to go, that's the toughest thing to do, is try to save as much of it as possible is the hardest thing to do in napping. But it's the thing that 99% of new guys want to do. They want to do the hardest thing in napping with the least amount of experience. That's why you run into problems. Otherwise, it'd be easy. But new guys want to do the most difficult thing with the least amount of experience. The most difficult thing is to preserve the size. All right? That's the most difficult thing, to preserve the size and make a point or a biface out of this with the largest dimensions possible. That's the hardest thing. Other than long flakes, the hardest thing is to create create a big piece, or the biggest piece possible with what you have available. First thing that's the hardest is long flakes. Second thing that's the hardest is preserving the material. New guys want to do both of those things immediately. You're not going to be able to do it. And if you're breaking it in half, you're getting short flakes. That's what you're supposed to be doing in the beginning. Okay? Because you're new. All right, here we go. I'm going to strike into here and try to get something going on. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to hit that just because it's bugging me, this nasty area. Strategy, why? Is it bugging you a strategy? Yes. Because I say so. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Hit too low. Yeah, I knew that wasn't going anywhere. I knew that low hit wasn't going to go anywhere. I need a big honking flake there. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. What else can I do? Yeah, I'm just going to keep chipping around the edges. I need to get rid of this mass, right? You can think of it also as a woodworker, right? If I was sanding this down and I wanted a flat piece, if I was sanding it on the sander, where would I sand it first? Well, I'd sand this off because that's the biggest thing right now. Well, how do I attack that? It's not really easy to attack. I gotta make a platform. Maybe I can attack it now this way. So let's try it. Yep, okay. It worked all right. So if I was a carpenter and I wanted to sand this flat, I've got that thing sanded down. Now what's the next thing to sand down? This one here? All right, so how do I get rid of that? Well, I got to have maybe a platform to hit this way, but this is not the right angle. You know, you drop it down a little bit. That way you can get in there and gouge it out. Let's see. That's not that great, but I'm on the Cortex, so I don't have much of a choice. I'm not able to flake it that way to drop it down, so I'm just going to hit it anyway with a gouge. I could swipe it, but this is not big enough really. All right, I'm going to give myself some more room here. All right, here we go. I'm going to hit there like that. Okay, you can see where the mark is, right? That was kind of good, but it wasn't really that great. Because if I was thinking about it a little bit better, for setting up the initial conditions a little bit better, I wouldn't have struck this way. I would have probably struck a little bit that way. But anyway, I can hit a little bit on the side here. Maybe I can do another one just like that next to it. Yeah, hit too low though, but it's going all right. I can still try to hit it again. It looks like. Get rid of some of the weak area so I know, get a better idea of where I can hit. Hit a little bit further up. That's not a bad flake for something else, for a utilized flake. Now, this looks pretty good, but this doesn't look good. This is fat here, so let's try to get rid of this and this at the same time. The less you hit the piece, the better. So you're trying to, as you get better at it, you're trying to use the least amount of hits to get the most amount of results. So I'm going to hit here, try to get that off, but I'll do it on the next segment. Okay.